G'day Tiger fans and welcome to the Raw Vision preview show for round 2. Today we're joined by Richmond assistant coach Danny Daly, ahead of the big Friday night clash against the Saints at the MCG. Danny, how are you?
Good mate, yourself?
Now the boys, how are they feeling? Are they confident going into the game tomorrow night?
Yeah, look, we're reasonably confident, mate. I think a lot of the supporters would have seen last week that, especially for the third and half of the last quarter, that we showed what we can give in terms of game style, etc. So first couple of days after the game, they were pretty disappointed, the players, which is to be expected. We probably should have won the game, but we've knuckled down, concentrating on St Kilda now, and I think they're super confident of putting in a good performance.
From the coaching staff point of view, where do you think the game's going to be won and lost?
I think it's no secret that in the media and with Dimmer this week that a lot of heat's been put on our midfield after last week's performance. So, St Kilda got a terrific midfield. And we're an up-and-coming midfield. A lot's been spoken about it, but I think this is the week that they need to step up and really show what they're about. And if we can win enough footy through the midfield and get some supply into our forward line, I think that'll be where the game will be won and lost.
Well, the Saints obviously a pretty good side. What's an area of their game that you've really focused on?
Once again, I think, as I said, their midfield, their clearances, they're a very good stoppage side. Obviously, I think they were ranked 1 or 2 last year and even last week in clearances and stoppages. So the more we can nullify that and on the opposite scale cut off their drive into Rewalt, that'll be a big focus for us. And obviously, Rewalt, champion that he is, we need to obviously nullify him as much as we can.
Well, a lot's been spoken about this week, the record against the Saints. Last 13 games we've lost. So would that come into the players' thinking at all? Would that be in the back of their minds?
It's funny you mentioned that. We actually just had a meeting. Dimmer had a meeting with the boys ahead of tomorrow's game, and he spoke about that, the 13 wins in a row that St Kilda have had. Last year, the 2 games we came reasonably close, but just couldn't finish it off. The actual last time we spoke about a win-loss record was against Sydney last year. I think they had 9 wins in a row against us, and it was a focus that day against Sydney. So hopefully that's a bit of karma for this week's game.
Definitely. Well, we had a chat to Damien Hardwick and we had a look at his press conference and he spoke about that issue.
We play reasonably well. There's certain sides you match up really well against, and St Kilda is one of those sides that we over the course of the last couple of times we've played them have actually competed really well. I think we've had a 20-point loss and a 35-point loss. So, look, they're a side we enjoy playing. They're a terrific outfit, a well-structured outfit, and something we strive to be. So, look, it's a great test for our guys again, and one we're very much looking forward to.
So you're getting confidence out of the recent history rather than the number of consecutive losses?
Yeah, listen, I suppose from my point of view, in this team, like 9/10 of those blokes wouldn't have played or have any recollection of that record. So last year obviously was our first year as a group, and we lost 2 of those games by under 6 goals, I think. So we're in reasonable form against the Saints, and we very much look forward to the challenge.
Well, moving on to selection news, Shane Tuck has been named as an emergency again. Is he any chance to play?
Look, he probably won't play this week. Obviously, been named an emergency unless something happens overnight drastically with one of our players. But look, it's a credit to Tucky. I think he was in the same boat last year where he missed the first few games. He played really well down at Coburg last week. He's been made an emergency, but I think what we've decided to go with this week is after Damien giving a bit of heat on the midfield, to go with the same midfield group. He's put them on notice that if they don't perform, Tucky will probably come in next week and play.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit hard for Tucky in the minute, obviously, with our young midfield group, just to drop 1 or 2 of them out straight away. So, but again, to his credit, he's been performing really well on the training track, and his chance will come soon.
Disappointing for Alex Rance. He was starting to look really good down back. He's copped the suspension, but that opens up the door to bring in Jake King, the midget, back into the side. What plans have you got for him?
Yeah, Kingy, believe it or not, to become a pretty important player in our side. Much to some people's displeasure, but that's just the way it is. He's been terrific for us, though. Kingy as a forward, he just puts a lot of pressure on opposition down forward. His voice down there with our younger group, just developing the kids like Halbig, Nason, these type of players has been outstanding. Gives a bit of mouth to the opposition, and he's just become pretty important for our side here.
Well, he actually rang me yesterday and said he looked in the mirror and he's finally developed a chest, so that's a bonus for all Tiger supporters. Anyway, we had a look at the press conference with Dimmer yesterday and he spoke about Jake King.
Does Jake King come straight in?
Jake will be every chance. He's a guy I love to have in the side. Obviously, he brings everything we are about as a footy club. You know, he's tough, he's resilient, he's competitive, all those sort of things we look for in a footy player. So he'll be well and truly in the mix today.
Well, we spoke earlier about the midfield battle, and both teams are pretty good at contested ball and clearances, so it looks like the battle could be won or lost on the outside. Yeah,
you're right there, Richard. I think you might have been a spy in match committee, mate, because that's all we've spoken about this week. I think blokes like Connors and Edwards, Nason was brought up this week about possibly playing. We need to get a bit more from them. Our uncontested footy was down last week, albeit that the third quarter, I think we outplayed Carlton in that area and showed that when we get a lot of uncontested footy, that we can be a pretty potent side and get the ball inside 50. I think you'll also find that it won't be a stop-start this week in our style of play. Again, the first half last week, I think we were a bit stagnated in the way we play and didn't take any risks. I think you'll see again this week from the Tigers that will be a bit more play-on material, just take the game on a little bit more and hopefully have some influence through Delidio, Newman, Edwards, as I've mentioned. Robbie Nahas, who was pretty good in the third quarter. So, again, if our boys can win the ball inside and get it to these guys on the outside, it'll certainly give us a lot more opportunities inside 50.
That's good news for Jack, but what about the other revolt down the other end, Nick? Always looms as the danger man. Absolutely. Who gets the job on him?
Yeah, I think, well, as you can see from the side, that we've lost Rancy and brought Kingy back in, so we've replaced the tall with a small, but I think you'll find Lukey McGuire will probably get the first go at him. Hopefully he'll be the only one who plays him all night because we have to move him off him. That means he's getting beaten. So we've got young Dave Asprey, who's probably got the pace and agility to go with him as well. So there's a couple of guys who we can fall back on. But as I said, again, hopefully we win enough footy that St Kilda aren't getting the ball in his hands.
Boys have had an 8-day break. Always nice to have. They must be confident they can run this game out.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a good rest on Friday and Saturday after last Thursday's game. We had a pretty intense session on Sunday, but the first couple of days was all about recovery. Most of them pulled up pretty sore after the first game, so the 8 days has been a blessing for us. But just finishing training today in our last match committee, the boys trained really well. They're excited, they're up and about. So again, hopefully we can just come out at the start and put on a good show for the fans.
Well, we spoke to Richmond's elite performance coach, Matty Hornsby, about the 8-day break and what the boys did. Used to be just a fitness coach, elite performance coach. He's kidding himself, Hornsby, but here he is.
And we obviously had the Thursday night game last week and going into a Friday game with an extended break. Has that changed the way you organise the training schedule this week?
Yeah, we have a pretty set routine week to week. But it just meant that they had to come in Sunday morning and train. So they had Friday as a recovery day, Saturday was their day off. We trained Sunday morning. And really from Sunday we've just had a normal week coming into a Friday game. So it's always nice to get an extended break early in the season as they adapt to the intensity of AFL footy again, those early games that certainly take a bit of put a bit of stress through the body, and particularly as we've seen over round one, a lot of teams have found that it's been quite challenging. A lot of guys suffering from cramp and the fatigue element of the game, which is pretty common in round one anyway. So it's been handy to have an 8-day break, and we get another one next week as well following the Friday night game. So we really focus on recovery early in the week, and then gives us an opportunity to get some good training sessions into them as well.
Well, the Tigers haven't played many Friday night clashes in recent years. Does that change their lead up at all?
The players not so much. I think they get into a routine about when they play, etc. As a coaching staff, though, it's a little bit different. Normal if we play a Saturday or Sunday, we probably have to go and watch Coburg or another game that day, then head into the G. But because it's a Friday night game, we'll come in about 2 o'clock and go for a run and have a spa in the new facilities and go for a swim and do all the thing that coaches can do when they're doing nothing. But we'll have a meeting here about 4 o'clock as coaches for about an hour. Then we'll wander over to the G on our own and do what we got to do. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now the big stage, Friday night footy. The boys should be really pumped for it, shouldn't they?
Yeah, it's terrific Friday night footy. It's always a big game for the players as such. Not having played myself, but been involved in quite a few over the years as a coach. It's you can just see the boys just up the ante a bit. Big stage, big crowd of hopefully 50, 60,000 people there. A million or two watching it on tally. So. They're on the big stage, so they need to perform, and for us to be a successful side moving forward, we need to win these games so we get more of them in the future.
No worries. Well, thanks for joining us on Raw Vision, Danny. And
thanks, Richo.
Let's go Tigers, the round 2 clash against the Saints.